Hello and welcome to IronAge Media. I'll be talking about how the site will be changing in 2023, as well as how the channel is going to be changing in terms of what content I put up. So let's jump right into it. So, IronAge Media was not part of the plan for 2022, and I am very happy to have become, or for it to have become part of my life. I talk a little bit about that in this article, but the things I really want to focus in on are, for this episode, is how the site's going to be changing and how it's going to impact the YouTube channel, as well as a little bit of verbal discussion on how prompts are changing. So, the first thing is that I'm going to be cutting back the number of articles, at least pre-planned articles, to 2 a week. And that's primarily just for the month of January. If I start getting a lot of articles that I can preload content out, 3 articles a week for the entire month at the beginning of the month, I'm going to do that. But for now, we're cutting down just a little bit because constantly kind of treading water with daily uploads and changing things around has become a little bit stressful for me. And I'm wanting to make sure that everything is as sustainable as possible. That's going to be a big theme for any of the changes that have been made. Still going to do weekly prompts, and in fact, I'm expanding those. I'll discuss that later. But the big changes are that I'm going to be dropping off updating locals because honestly, I was never very active there. I never had much engagement there. And, I just am trying to focus in on where I am. Now, the big places that you can find me in terms of social media are Twitter, Instagram, the Gilded server for IronAge Media, which you can find a link to in this article, and on YouTube, which I do kind of consider a strange form of social media of its own kind. Now, the YouTube changes are going to be, I'm going to drop the weekly reviews for IronAge Media. I thought that they were something I could just bang out real quick, but I'm not good at talking to myself on camera or just talking by myself on camera. I do much better whenever I have a live stream or interview or something like that. So I'm going to be bumping those back to monthly updates where I'll talk about the articles as well as the short stories that are posted and any other prompt winners. Now, speaking of interviews, I had a good time with Kursova last month, and I think people were curious to hear what he had to say, and I think overall it went very well. So I'm going to be doing more interviews. For now, I'm just going to be doing 1 a month, and hopefully I'll be bumping that up to 2 a month as time goes by. They will also be posted as, with excerpts like I did for Kursova, as articles. So you will, if you're just following the site, you will still get notified about them there. The other big change is with the weekly prompts. Biggest thing is going to be that I am adding in addition to literature prompts and the art prompts, there's now what I'm referring to as audio prompts. Now, what's an audio prompt? Right now, what I'm doing is taking the winners of previous prompt voting, either editorial picks or the popular vote winners, and I'm putting those out there as content for people to make recordings of some kind. Now, my first thought is for readings, so narrations and things like that, so that people can generate short audio books or, just excerpts of sections. If somebody just wants to read, if you only really want to get 60 seconds out there, that's all you have time for, you recorded it and that's the only thing you have 60 seconds, that's good, that's fine. But I'm also leaving it open to, if you want to do a little bit more audio drama where there are sound effects and other things going on, I welcome those, as well as music in the background. Now, If you're primarily doing music and there's nothing there, I think that's fine. But um, I've also seen, after having watched JVP's Ruthless short, I was thinking about how simple sketches and things like that put to a narration and music are actually very interesting blending of things. So if you want to try to do something like that, that's fine. To go along with these changes, I've also, for the art and literature prompts, I have added categories for them. So what is a category, you might ask? Well, for the literature prompts, there have been a number of people who have told me that, man, I'm only at like 500 words. And I've also had some poetry submitted to me that is over, that is over 1,000 words. And for me, I'm by no means a poet, but trying to set a limit at 1,000 words of poetry seems pretty brutal. So there's now going to be 2 categories in the literature section: the flash fiction and poetry. So anything less than 1,000 words, that's fiction. And then short stories, any short story exceeding 1,000 words. Because I also had some people talk about how they were like really having to cut things down because they had 6,000 words and they couldn't get it to fit. And honestly, if you get in the flow and you have a good story, I don't want to exclude that story because it is a little bit too long. 1 to 5,000 words is already a pretty gigantic leap in terms of length. So I think it's up to the reader. If you can keep people engaged, then go for it. Now, on the art prompts, we have basically physical and digital media, which I hope that will be fairly self-explanatory. Now, one point that I might clarify is, if you have, like my wife did a pen and pencil, or I think it was just a pencil sketch, took a picture of it, and then digitally colored it, I still would consider that a digital submission. So the other thing that we have is, let's look, I think I already talked about this actually, but we'll look at it real quick in terms of the categories for the audio prompts. Is readings and audio dramas, and then video shorts. So that's anything that has any amount of, even if it's just a couple of images, if you want to throw up an image that's just static, I don't really think that counts. But primarily I'm expecting some readings and audio drama type stuff. Now, you'll note down here that there is a caveat about receiving at least 8 submissions across all prompts for that time period. What that means is there's going to be, 4 or 5 prompts per month, and those basically all of the submissions for a category. So you get a short story submission in the literature section that will excuse me, I'm sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. But that will pile up, and you get 8 of them. I'm definitely going to have a vote on them. If we get to like 7, I'm probably also still going to have a vote on them. But at a certain point in time, if there's not enough vote or not enough content to vote on, which is kind of one of the problems that I had with the artistic prompts from November and also in December. I understand during the holidays, everybody's very busy. I'm very busy. And so naturally prompts have decreased in volume, but as things pick up, I want people to know that you are being recognized. So I'm going to be trying to put make it easier for people to look at an entire month's worth of content if things don't go to a vote. So there's going to be some changes to the prompts page, and I'm probably going to be reworking the website a little bit later on this month. But that being said, I look forward to seeing what you guys have for me. I really appreciate everyone in the Iron Age, putting themselves out there and reaching out to me and helping make this site successful. And I just hope that 2023 is as exciting and fun as 2022 was. Hopefully for even more positive reasons. So it's been a joy telling you about everything going on with the site, and I look forward to talking to you again at the end of the month about what's been going on with IronAge Media for the month of January.